Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thousands of memories are created and captured in each photo taken on your magical vacation. We proudly present Capturing Magic, where we help those moments live on forever.
Welcome to Capturing Magic, everyone. I am Steph from capturingmagic.me. This is episode 9, recorded on Saturday, December 1st. You can find more tips, tools, and notes for this show at capturingmagic.me. I am Steph, and I'm your host for this show, and I have here with me my co-host, Brittney Leavitt, who can be found at britishdesigns.com, where she has digital scrapbooking supplies. Hi, Brittney.
Hi, Steph. Hi, everybody.
And we have joining us this week AJ Wolfe from DisneyFoodBlog.com, and she also has her own podcast and joins lots of podcasts around the community to help people figure out all of their dining adventures in Disney. Hi, AJ.
Hi, guys. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Of course. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here. So let's share with our listeners a little bit, if they don't know about you, what the kinds of things that they can find at DisneyFoodBlog.com. You have a Disneyland person that writes for you, and then you do the Disney World stuff mostly, although you do Disneyland as well, right?
Yep. We try to cover Disneyland and Disney World in great detail. Every once in a while, you'll see some great coverage of other Disney parks and cruise ships. So we just basically try to talk about everything that is edible, and sometimes even not edible, but looks like food at Disney parks and resorts and cruise ships. And the main goal of Disney Food Blog, or DFB as we like to call it, is basically you spend a lot of money on food in Disney, at any Disney parks or resorts. And you really, maybe need a little opportunity to see what that food really looks like, or what you're going to get for that money. Some people pay more for food than they do on their hotel when they go to Disney. Yeah. So there's no reason to spend money on food that you're not going to like. So we try to kind of we literally show you, we take photos of it and show you the food that you're going to get. They're not PR pics. They are what you really get served. And we give you our take on if this kind of food is going to be right for a family like yours.
And one of the things that I think is great to note about your site is that you're paying for all the majority, unless you note it in a post, the food and your accommodations and all of that kind of stuff, so that you can be honest in your feedback and reviews.
That's right. Absolutely. We are not in any way affiliated with Walt Disney World or with Disneyland or the Disney Cruise Line. And so we are able to be completely unbiased in what we do. And like you said, if we note at the bottom of the post, we do have disclosure notices on our site. So if you note in the bottom of the post that this has, this food has been paid for by someone else, we let you know. But even if the food is paid for by someone else, we never have any obligation to report about it or to say anything good about it. So we're usually pretty, we're always pretty honest about that food, even if it's been paid for by someone else. But I would say 99.9% of everything you're going to see on the site, we have paid for ourselves.
Yeah, which I think for a lot of readers, it just makes them feel that a little bit more comfortable in understanding and knowing what's going on. And one thing also that I wanted to mention about your site that I love is your eBooks that you have. I've purchased those recently. Our listeners know I've been working on planning a trip to Disney World during the holidays, and you have a holiday edition that's brand new.
Yep.
That's very comprehensive. And that's one thing, I would recommend your eBooks to everybody, both of them. If they're going during the holidays, for sure pick that one up. They're huge. Huge. And yeah. I did not expect them to be as comprehensive as they were.
Well, I'm kind of a perfectionist, and so what I try to put out there on my site and in our books is the information that I would want if I was going to Disney for the first time or the 50th time, because these books cover all of my experience, the experience of other staff who work for Disney Food Blog, and basically, you've got tips and tricks in there that a lot of people don't figure out until they're on their 100th trip to Disney or 200th trip to Disney, and so they are very long. I think if there's any fault to the books, it's that they are too comprehensive. There's too much information in them, but they are ebooks. eBooks. So you can stick them on your iPad or put them on your smartphone, take them into the parks with you. And just, it's a very clickable format. So it's a very clickable table of contents. So just look at the table of contents, click kind of where you are today and get information about that. So they're really, really useful and helpful. I personally use them even when I'm planning my trips. So
yeah. For sure. The table of contents, that's one of the things that I loved. And I went through that as I was working on making my plans and just clicked through, read the sections that I needed and kind of skipped around throughout the book. But it was super helpful information. One of the things that you have in there is different, an example of a family of 4. And this is in the regular ebook and kind of what they ate, how much it cost them. So people can figure out, okay, this is how I can save money compared to this family.
Right. And that's kind of a comparison to see if the dining plan makes sense for you as a family. We kind of show you, here's how much a normal family would spend if you were on the dining plan or if you're not on the dining plan. But we also do have at the back of that book and in another book of ours called our Adventures Guide that we have basically planned out little dining strategies for you that if your family's a big dinosaur family, or if you guys want to just go do beer all weekend, we do have adventures and little planned out dining strategies to fit your family. So we basically do all the work for you.
Yeah. Yeah, even on the character meals, you have guides and, how to pick the best character meal that's going to work for your family and figure out what's most important to you.
Oh, there's so much to figure out. Don't do it yourself. Just get the books. We did it all and just look at them. And it's great because I always get good feedback from readers and from the people who've purchased the books and just say, I could not have done this without this book. I wouldn't have had as incredible a trip as I did without having this book. And that just makes it all so much worth it, so worth it for us to continue doing them because they are comprehensive. I mean, these are 300-page books. Yes. They're very, very, very comprehensive. There's lots of photographs, and there's lots of information but it's always worth it when I know that we're making a difference for people's vacations. Those are vacations that are once in a lifetime. And I'm so glad that we can, share our experience.
Yes, absolutely. So they are, and I wanted to mention the price really quick, and I think they're, remind me, $14 around there?
Yeah, the main DFB guide, which is the 2012 version right now, and we'll have a 2013 version out in the new year, is $18.95. And usually there's a discount floating around out there that will allow you to get it for $14.95. And we have, I believe, 4 or 5 other books right now that we have out, and they all range from $8.95 to $14.95. And again, there are discounts, and we do often share those discounts on our newsletter or in Disney Food Blog on the actual site. So you can usually find a discount for those books.
Perfect. Yeah, it's a huge, great value for everything that's included, and I highly recommend them. So.
Oh, great. Oh, I want to mention really quickly also, we do have bundles. So if you want all of the books or if you want several books together, we do have guides to just the snacks in the Magic Kingdom and in Epcot. You can go ahead and pick those up together and at a discounted price. So you can it's kind of like when you get your cable and your TV and all of that together. The same thing with the books. We've bundled the books. So you can find those at dfbstore.com.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that as well. Okay. So one of the things that I think about your site and your books, everything that you're doing is it captures a lot of the magic memories that you're making when you are at Disney World because it's documenting your experiences. And so that's one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on today was to talk about some of your favorite not to miss Disney food memories that all of us could make when we're on vacation. So I asked you to come up with a list. Uh-huh. Do you want to share that with us?
Sure. So I didn't go specific. I try not to go too specific because the thing about Disney is that there's so much available that some of these memories might not fit your family. It might not be right for your family, or if you're going solo, that it's a completely different set of things you should be doing. So I kind of made a very vague list for you to just try to kind of think about and apply to your own vacation. And the first one is a character meal. Character meals are a lot of fun in Disney World, and what that means, because It sounds a little weird, but that's when you actually go and you dine with the characters. They come around to your table and they, if they're face characters, they'll chat with you. If they're fur characters, they'll just kind of gesture and stuff with you. But that's a lot of fun to do, is to make sure to have a character meal. And especially if you have little ones who love those characters, it's a lot of fun to see kind of how they interact with them.
Yeah, for sure. Totally agree with that.
Yeah. And so another one is, if you have the opportunity to do so, have a date night at Disney World, or at Disneyland. And I know that a lot of people think of Disney World and Disneyland as just for the kids. And a lot of people go thinking, oh, this is just for the kids and there's nothing for grown-ups to do. But that's not true at all, actually. There's tons for grown-ups to do. There's a great website out there called wdwforgrownups.com that has lots of great information for adults who are going to Disney World with or without kids, but who like to spend a little time on their own if they can. And there's 5-star cuisine. There are incredible restaurants to go to have a date night. And a lot of folks don't even know they're there because they're just basically eating in the parks and not even recognizing that there's so much good cuisine all over Disney World and Disneyland. Yeah. So that's another thing that is really a must do is leave the kids at a kids club, or have grandma come along and have a date night. Or even if you're a single mom or a single dad, go out on your own, go out solo and have a great dinner by yourself at a chef's counter or something like that. That's a great memory to make.
Yeah, I think doing Disney alone is a scary prospect for a lot of people. It was for me until I did it. And I only did it for a day, but it was a lot of fun to be able to go. It's different, but it was fun.
Oh, it's
yeah, it
great.
sounds like heaven to me. I think I would miss my baby and, miss Josh. And as I did certain things, I'd be like, oh, they would love this. But to me, just like being there by yourself to have like that time, I think that sounds incredible.
It's great. And, it's funny because when you go solo, it's a little bit nerve-wracking because you feel like you're maybe not taking advantage of it the way you should. But the bottom line is, if you're there alone for a day, you can do whatever you want, even if that means sitting in your hotel room and ordering room service. That's fine. Just do that. So it's a lot of fun to kind of indulge yourself for a day or even a week. I have a good friend of mine who also writes for Disney Food blog, Erin Foster. She's a Disney World Moms panelist. She actually has a standing solo trip every year that she goes down by herself for, a few days or a week, and just looks forward to it all the time. And it really is a lot of fun to go solo. So if you can get if you can scrape together the cash to go, it's worth it. But yeah. Anyway,
Josh and I are huge proponents of the whole date night at Disney. I mean, before we had kids, we still went all the time and just did it by ourselves. And we always would tell people it's a lot more romantic than you think.
Yeah.
So I'll agree with you on that recommendation. And I love that you said that, leave your kids with grandma. Like if we had my mom and dad on a trip with us, they would love a night by themselves with Scarlett. Yeah. Just say, here, take them. And she would love that. And then we could go do our own thing, for a night.
Exactly. It's
grandparents would like that.
Yeah, they do. And, it's just so much fun. And a lot of people, that's something else that we try to really get, drive home on Disney Food Blog, is that it's not just burgers and hot dogs. There truly is a dining renaissance going on at Disney World right now. And there have always been great restaurants, but it's really quite astounding the level of cuisine they're serving there now. And it's just phenomenal. You can easily go to Disney World and eat the entire time you're there at very high end, just incredible restaurants. So anyway, I try to drive that home a lot. There's a lot of opportunity there that people don't think is there or that they miss. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Should I go on my list?
Yes, please.
Okay. Another great memory to make is, going to a restaurant where you can see the fireworks while you're dining. There's nothing I like better at Disney than eating. And if I can combine it with a show, that's awesome. And so there are several restaurants around Walt Disney World where you can either see Epcot fireworks or Magic Kingdom fireworks. You can see some of the fireworks at Fantasmic, but it's not really they're not really fireworks anyway. So, so I go with Magic Kingdom and Epcot. But there are several great restaurants to see the fireworks from it, both in the parks and out of the parks. So that's always a good thing to do. But you do have to book those quite early. And as they always say, they can't guarantee you a seat where you'll be able to see the fireworks, but it's worth a try.
We accidentally happened on that one trip to Disney World, and we had a reservation at Ohana, and they were running extremely behind. And we got seated 2 hours later than our reservation was. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, wow.
And we hung out. We stuck it out and waited, and we ended up being able to watch the fireworks in Ohana over the castle. And that was because they piped the music in for it and everything. It was so magical, just a magical experience to be able to just accidentally have that happen.
Isn't that fun? I love when those kinds of things happen and you get to experience something that you never would have planned or thought about. But yeah, that's great.
Yep.
And Ohana is a great one to watch fireworks from. That's always kind of one of my number one recommendations because most of the tables there do have a view of the fireworks. So rarely are you going to be seated at a table that doesn't. So you don't have to worry too much about getting those great tables. And it's moderately priced. So, you're not looking at a California grill where you're going to have to spend $100. A person to kind of eat there. So that's great. And I think it's a great view too of the fireworks.
It is. In the castle, it's beautiful.
But even if you don't want to spend money, like you don't want to go to an actual restaurant to eat, another great tip is to go get food at Captain Cook's downstairs in the Polynesian and go out on the beach and watch the fireworks from there. You won't really be able to hear the music necessarily, although sometimes they do. I've heard they pipe it into the beach sometimes, but you probably won't be able to hear the music, but it's still a great little kind of picnic opportunity. And that can be a romantic date night as well. If you grab a bottle of wine and go out on the beach and watch the fireworks. So
yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. So another great kind of memory goes along with watching a show while you're eating. And this one's a little more specific than the others because I just love it. And that's Hoop-Dee-Doo-Review. I don't know if you guys have been there over at Fort Wilderness, but it is just so much fun. And it's one of the oldest, most historical experiences at Disney World in terms of dining. That show's been going for millions of years and it's so much fun. Everyone I bring there absolutely loves it and wants to go back. It's kind of it makes everybody so happy. So that's a great experience as well.
That's good to know. I've heard you talk about it before, and I'm thinking now after hearing you say that, I need to try and get reservations.
Oh, it's so much fun. It is so much fun. It's so funny. I brought my parents there one year, and they end up going every time they go. Every time they go to Disney, they go, and they actually had Thanksgiving there this year, their Thanksgiving dinner at Hoop-Dee-Doo-Review this year. So it's just kind of one of those little things that just sort of weaves its way under your skin, and you just fall in love with it. It's so much fun. But other kind of good experiences to have. I mentioned room service, and if you are going as a romantic couple or solo, or even with kids, sometimes it's fun to do a room service day or to do a resort day where you just kind of hang out at the pool and order room service to your room. And it's a little pricey, but everybody needs kind of a down day when they're at Disney because you do run so much and you're doing so much. And so sometimes that down day is the best day of your trip. So that's a fun one to think about as well. And most of the deluxe resorts have room service. If you're staying at a value resort, you'll have pizza delivery, and moderate resorts have pizza delivery as well. But Coronado Springs does also have some moderate room service.
Very good to know.
So that's a good one to try. Another thing that I always have to mention, if you read my blog at all, you know how much I love the snacks at Disney World. And snacks range for me anywhere from a cup of really good soup on a cold day to a great cupcake to, fantastic chocolate covered salted caramels. They have tons of stuff at Disney to snack on. Dole Whips, Mickey bars are the ones lots of people think about. But we have, like I said, we have books dedicated to talking about snacks and what's available as far as snacking in Disney World. And Disney has really expanded the opportunities in that field. So another great memory to make and a lot snacks, like everybody gets a Mickey bar or your first Dole Whip of your trip, things like that. So take a look at what snacks are available and consider, having just one big meal a day or 2 meals a day, and then getting a couple of snacks while you're in the park, because they do have good opportunities. They have great offerings, and those can definitely be a magical moment. If you've ever had a great Disney cupcake, it's a magical moment.
And I love the idea of documenting the snacks, because you don't always think to do that. But some of my favorite pictures and scrapbook pages are of like just snacks.
Yeah. And people think that Disney's really pedestrian when it comes to food. They expect just the hot dogs and the popcorn, and that's it. But really, Disney is understand. They're realizing, with the dining plan offers a snack, a snack credit, and they're realizing that people are wanting to get really creative with those snacks. And our snack books, the books that we have focused on snacks, also tell you kind of how to turn snacks into a meal. For instance, you can get a cup of chili, and they actually. Snacks aren't always not healthy. Snacks can be very healthy and very filling. And, it's not always just sugar. So, something I love to do in the Magic Kingdom is go get a baked potato or a baked sweet potato or a corn on the cob or something like that. And that's considered a snack. And that's a great little way to just kind of tide you over till dinner or your next dining reservation. And those are things that a lot of people don't take good advantage of because they don't know they're there.
Yeah, I didn't know that you could get those kind of things for your snack credit. And where you have that snack credit, I don't know, at the end of our trip, we actually ended up with like extras. Like we had to kind of like use them up real quick. So like knowing better things to choose and to use them, I feel like we could have taken more advantage of our snack credits when we were there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I
would have been more educated about it.
Yeah. And that's why it's fun when we have our, in our snack books, we have meals made of snacks. Like we'll tell you, here's, go get, go get a cup of soup and a baked potato. Those are both snack credits, but they are, that makes a nice little meal for people. And we also have snack pairings, which I think is really fun because, pairings don't always have to be, filet mignon and a Cabernet. You can also have a great pairing of, some French fries and strawberry cheesecake, which is actually really good. So,
sounds really good.
So, or like a chocolate cupcake and some pretzels or something, like those kinds of things actually do taste really good together. So we try to put together some fun and interesting pairings for people to try with snacks as well.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. One of my favorites. Ooh, this is really fun. One time I tried, how they have those cinnamon glazed almonds.
Yeah.
They sell in some of the parks. Those with those little Edie's dibs, those little like small chocolate covered ice cream things.
Oh yeah.
Those are really good. It's like these cinnamon glazed almonds with these little chocolate covered ice cream. Oh, they're so good. It's such a good pairing. I love it.
Yum.
So anyway, I get really into this stuff, as you can see, but those are really fun. So definitely educate yourself about the snacks that are available and consider how that can be kind of a magical memory for your family. I know a lot of people like to get some Mickey bars and watch the fireworks, with their Mickey bars or with their ice cream from the Plaza Ice Cream Parlor. Stuff like that is a lot of fun, and that's the kind of thing that just gets solidified in your memory.
I totally agree with that. It's interesting how, for me especially, food is such a big part of the memories that happen for me when I'm at Disney.
Yeah.
So,
yep. Absolutely.
Yeah,
okay, I have one more.
Sorry, I was just going to say, even if you don't really think of it, like before we were planning the show out, and I thought, at Disney World, I know dining is like a huge deal. And for me, at Disneyland, going so much, it wasn't as big of a deal. But now I think about it, like a lot of what I look forward to and a lot of the memories we make are during meals. So
yes, totally. And Disneyland, actually, I prefer to eat at Disneyland. Because their counter service is so phenomenal there. Yeah. And they have some great table service as well, but their counter service is just above and beyond. It's so good.
I guess that's what I mean. When I go to Disneyland, I'm not really worried about making reservations and all that. Yeah. I still plan and look forward to eating all my counter service meals.
Yeah, because it's so good. But yeah, exactly. Because in Disneyland, people are usually going for a day trip or a couple of days. In Disney World, you're going for a week or you're going for, 3 days, 4 days. It's a you are settling into that bubble at Disney World. And so you have to eat on property and you have to think about that. But Disneyland that's why I think they focus a little bit more on counter service, is because it's usually day trippers. It's usually locals who are there. But they have really, the counter service there is unbelievable. And I look forward to it all the time. So
yeah.
So yeah, it is great to play on your Disney World, your Disneyland stuff too now, because they've just come out with so many new and fun things, and you just want to make sure you're getting all the best stuff. But anyway, so I have one more, and that's speaking of counter service. That's what I wanted to talk about was counter service. We talked a lot about table service and snacks, but a lot of people just don't really plan for counter service because they figure, oh, we'll just grab burgers when we get hungry. But Disney has a lot of great counter service restaurants. Disney World and Disneyland both have great counter service restaurants that are worth doing a little planning around, and you can make magical memories. Especially there are a couple of counter service restaurants with great views. For instance, if you go to Flame Tree Barbecue at Animal Kingdom, sit down. If you walk all the way down to where the water is, you've got a great view of Expedition Everest. It's a fantastic view, and it's a quiet area, and it's really fun. There's actually quite a bit of excellent counter service you can plan over at Sunshine Seas at the Land in Epcot. They've got some great stuff. So definitely take a look at counter service and plan to go to the spots that offer really good quality versus, there are some that are just your typical burgers and chicken nuggets that aren't as fantastic, but Disney's working on it. They're adding some interesting menu items to a lot of those places too. So like, for instance, I went to Electric Umbrella in Epcot the other day. And I had been avoiding it, honestly. I'd been avoiding Electric Umbrella because I was like, oh, this is just, regular counter. So it's just boring. It's not good food. And I ended up having a phenomenal meal there, and because they'd added some really upscale and interesting items that I got to try. So everything, it might surprise you. So always do your research, always check this stuff out, and we're always updating our books to relay the latest feeling that we have about a restaurant, because I always say Disney restaurants are inconsistent. There's a lot of turnover, and you can go there one day and have a great experience and go there the next and have a horrible experience. So that's why we're constantly re-reviewing everything, because menus change, staff changes, and things can be very different. So even if you had a bad experience someplace a while ago, do your research and see how it is now.
Yeah, for sure. I noticed that in your ebooks, because when I downloaded mine, I downloaded it quite a while ago. I bought your main ebook, and you already had information in there about New Fantasyland.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, even before they were doing previews, I think maybe. So yeah, it is really up to date. It's good information. With all of your, photo taking and everything that you do for your website, what kind of things have you learned about taking photos of food that maybe our listeners can glean from?
Well, in terms of, I am not a trained photographer at all, but the number one thing I can say is, try to get those photos with natural light. Try not to use your flash if you don't have to. And that's the number one thing. I always ask, I'm very high maintenance when I go to a restaurant, and I always ask them for a table near a window. I always try to go to dinner at like 4 p.m. so that I have some light to take those pictures, and it just makes all the difference. And also, something I always try to do is not take the picture like I'm a crane looking down at the food, because those pictures tend to look very unnatural. I always try to get an angle on it. And the third thing that's always kind of very important is get all the clutter out of the way if you can. If there's a lot of other, straw wrappers and half a glass of orange juice or whatever in the photo, it really detracts from the main focus. So try to get all of that clutter out of the way, which is a lot easier if you don't have kids.
It can be hard. And even my kids, getting my kids out of the way sometimes can be difficult.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are great tips. Thank you for sharing those. So, were there any other things that you wanted to share really quick with our listeners?
No, I could talk for hours. So I'll come back on and we'll do it again. But
yes, for sure.
I have a question going way back to your very first recommendation about character meals. Are there certain character meals that you recommend to people, like your number one or, top 3 places that you think are the best as far as like memory making experiences? Because I know they're all very different, and we've only done a few and had very different experiences at each one. So I just wondered, as the expert, which one, if you had a few that you just really recommend. I know it's different for every family, but.
Well, for me, I'm having kind of an anti-buffet feel at the moment, just because I've seen so much gross stuff happen at buffets. They're not bad, but I'm not in a buffet place in my life right now. So the ones I'm kind of really behind right now are like Ohana. For breakfast. That's a great character meal. You have a great view. You get Mickey Mouse, which he's not at all of them. So that's a great one to go to. And also you're seated and the food comes to you family style. So you don't have to keep getting up and going to the buffet, which is really nice, especially if you're a single parent or, if you've got a bunch of kids and you just don't want to have to go up with each one every single time. So that's a really good one.
I think character meals with buffets are hard because the characters are coming around. You're trying to get your food. You're leaving your table. You're missing characters. Like it stresses me out to do a buffet with a character meal.
It is hard. It is hard. Exactly. And that's why is you want to see that character. And how often have we kind of sat there and waited for half an hour to see if the character was going to come to your table next or whatever. So that's definitely tough. But Ohana's a really good one. Another one I love is Garden Grill, which is in Epcot. It's that rotating restaurant. It used to be the Land Grill Room, which was a kind of a high-end restaurant in the 80s, and now it's a character meal. But you get Mickey Mouse in his little farmer outfit, which you're not going to find that farmer outfit anywhere else. So that's a great photo to get. And you also get Chip and Dale and Pluto. But it's really fun to be on a rotating restaurant, and your kids don't get that experience every day, and we don't get that experience every day. But again, that's a family-style meal. It's brought to your table, so that's a great one that I can recommend because the food is wonderful. I mean, the food is very, very good there as well. So that's a great one. And that happens for dinner, like I said, in Epcot at the Land Pavilion. So that's a really good one as well.
Yeah. I think a lot of it, just deciding on what kind of a character meal you do depends on what's important to your family. If it's food or if there's specific characters you want to meet. That's how we decided this trip that we have coming up. We just have one of our kids coming with us, and she had specific characters that she's nervous about characters. And so we wanted one that has more face characters and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, but we've got a great breakdown over on Disney Food Blog, actually. We have kind of character meals ranked and scored by different things, including price and how late you get to sleep in if you're going to go to that character meal, what characters are going to be there. So we've got a whole bunch of graphs and charts that will tell you. So you can basically choose character meals based on your most important criteria with all of these, graphs and charts that we've put together. And these were put together by Erin Foster, who I mentioned before. But they're really, really useful. And you can choose character meals based on how quiet you need it to be. If you have kids who really can't handle crowds or don't want, a lot of crazy, we have character meals recommended that are good for those kids. So, it's really a wealth of information, and there is a lot to consider when you're deciding character meals.
For sure. And that guide helped me a lot plan out that.
Good.
I used your guide to figure out which character meal was going to be best for us.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Yeah.
Because I feel like with a character meal, you're spending, enough money that you want it to be a good experience. It would be a bummer to pay for that character meal, go to all that, work getting your reservation and spending the money, and then to not love it. I don't know.
Well, that's how I feel about Disney in general.
Yeah.
I'm spending so much money, and if you go and have a bad experience, then it's just, it's even worse than if you were in your hometown and went to a bad restaurant, because this is your magical vacation. This is the thing that you've been thinking about and planning for years sometimes. And if you have a bad experience, that's a bigger bummer than it ever would be anywhere else. And so just a little bit of research can help you kind of figure that out.
Yep. I agree with that for sure. Okay. Should we move into our picks with pixie dust then? Are we ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do some picks with pixie dust. Brittney, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I always get to go first.
I know. That's the rule.
Okay. So my pick with pixie dust is an app that I use called Phonto. And it's just a really simple app that allows you to be able to put font or like type on your photos. So I use this like when I'm doing sometimes things for Instagram, or if I'm like sending a cute photo to my mom or whatever, I can put a little text on there, a little caption or something, or, I've done it before to do like a thank you. Like I took a picture of something someone gave me and I did put in script on there, thank you, and sent it to them. And they have, as I was looking for a good app for this, there's a lot of them out there, but this one is the best one that I found because it has a lot of different fonts and all very varying. Like there's pretty fonts and cute fonts and grungy fonts. There's all kinds. And then it's just simple. Like it's not complicated. And so and it's free, which is also great. Yeah. So it's called a Phonto and I love it. That's my pick.
That's a great pick. Okay. And AJ, do you have a pick for us?
I do. But first, Brittney, is it AFONTO?
No, it's PHONTO.
PHONTO. Okay. Because I'm always looking for good text apps like that.
Yeah.
So,
and it's good because they also let you just put text like on a blank card. So you can like do a little text card if you need to, just to put, I don't know, if you don't want to put it on a picture, you can put it on a blank background.
Okay,
and
cool.
Then you can also like the text, you can like add gradients and fancy stuff to your text, make it all frou-frou. And you can do different, all different colors and stuff. It's really, I love it. So I'll put a link to it in our show notes, but it's PHONTO.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah. So my pick is just bringing along a inexpensive voice recorder while you're on your trip, because a lot of times, I know for me and especially for my husband as well, things go through our minds that, we want to talk about this on the website, or we want to capture this information somewhere. And, you're sitting on a ride, you're in the middle of Space Mountain and you can't, write it down or add a note to your phone or something. So I always love to have kind of a voice recorder with me. So when I get out, I can explain to myself later on, here's how I want to construct this post, or here's how I want to put this photo together, or this photo collage together, or here's something that I don't want to forget to mention to people. So sometimes that little voice recorder, and a lot of people have them on their phones. So if you have like an iPhone or a smartphone of some kind, you do have a voice recorder on your phone. It comes standard on the phone. And so you can just kind of leave yourself little voice memos, and sometimes you can actually email them to yourself. So that's just something to remember, that it's a great little tool that you can use if you don't feel like writing something down or write it, or like typing a note to yourself. It's a much faster way to just grab information.
That's a great idea, because I'm not very good, and I've talked about this on the show before. Like I want to be better at journaling more, like when we get back to the hotel or whatever, and be able to write down those memories so that I have them when I go back to scrapbook, or when I, just to be able to record them. But I'm really bad at it. But if I was just like talking, if maybe just turned that on while Josh and I were walking back to the hotel or whatever, like that'd be, I think you just gave me my next thing we're going to do.
It's really helpful. And like I said, a lot of the time, I mean, if you have an iPhone, it comes standard on an iPhone, and you can literally just record it and email it to yourself. So that, when you get back home, you just capture all those emails. And if you want to write them out, you can, or, just capture them in a file somewhere.
Yeah, voice memos is what it's called. That's just built in, right? And then you can, they save in your phone, right, for a while if you want to just keep them in there. But then you can also email them. I forgot what I was going to say about voice memo. Oh, the quality of them is really good too. So they're not hard to hear. And I've found that when I do those, just even though it's just my phone, voice memo, it works really well. So
yeah, good.
That's a really great tip too. Yeah. I would like to start doing that more, because it would be super easy as you're driving to and from the parks or walking or whatever. Yeah. Really easy way to document the things that you don't want to forget.
Right.
Perfect. Okay. My pick is a site called designingdisney.com. I am kind of obsessed with learning about the different posters and fonts and stuff like that they use in the Disney parks. And one of the things that I always do when I'm at the parks is take pictures of different fonts. And then I come home and I can spend hours trying to find the same fonts or similar fonts, just because that's fun to me. I'm totally a nerd. But it sounds even more nerdy when I say it out loud.
No, Steph, I love that site. Like I am totally that design geek that I love that site.
Yeah.
Like I just found it recently in the last couple of months and it is the best.
Yeah, so they go through the kind of the backstory of a lot of different things and tell you how, like for instance, the Gibson Girl ice cream parlor in Disneyland Paris, they talk about, and this would apply to all of the Gibson Girl ice cream parlors, but you know, where it came from, the ideas behind it, how, you know, different posters were designed. They show posters throughout history. It's really cool. So that is my pick if you're interested in that aspect of Disney and what goes on.
And I can say that site, you know, being someone who owns a Disney website, you know, there's a Disney community out there of bloggers and website owners, and you know, there's people behind every one of those sites, and sometimes it's good to know that the people who are behind them are fantastic, and the guy who actually writes that site is wonderful. He is in Paris, and or he's in France anyway, and he has so much love for what he does, and he's just absolutely obsessed by it, and he's so much fun. And so I'm so glad you brought that site up, because it is a fantastic site. He's so good at capturing all of that stuff, and he's got such a passion for it. So not only is the site great, but the person behind it is really passionate, and that's always, to me, that always makes the site even better.
I totally agree.
That makes me like it even more now.
Yes. Yes, and to hear that they're nice people too. It's, you know, it's always a bonus. So
right, exactly.
Yeah. So it's one of the things when I started hearing you on different podcasts, I thought she is just so nice and so delightful. And so yeah, it's great to get to know the people behind.
Yeah. It makes a big difference with how you interact with the site, I think.
Yeah, I agree. So, okay, let's remind our listeners. We'll go around one more time and remind our listeners where you can be found. And if you have anything new that's going to be coming out, share that with us too. Okay. Brittney.
Okay. You can find me. Sorry. My brain was somewhere else. You can find me at BritishDesigns.com, and that's British with 2 T's. As far as new things coming out, I don't know. I'm not very planned out for this month. This has been a busy, crazy time of year for us. So whatever. That's where our site, that's where you can find my digital scrapbooking supplies in my shop and my blog. So just come over and see what we have coming out new. I'm sure there'll be something.
All right, AJ.
We are at DisneyFoodBlog.com and also DFBstore.com. We've got, you know, our holiday book just came out, and we've also got our 2013 version of the big DFB guide, which will probably be 350 pages this year, knowing us, if not already. And so we're working on that right now, and that'll come out in January. We're also probably going to have gift certificates again this year, so that if you want to buy the books for someone else who's going to Disney, you can get a gift certificate for them, and that's really easy for them to redeem and grab the eBooks themselves. So that's all coming out in the next couple of months. And of course, you know, we've always got things in the hopper and things happening. So just stop over to DisneyFoodBlog.com, over on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest. We're all over the place.
And you also have your podcast too, and they can search under DFB podcast, right?
Yep, dfbpodcast.com is where it is, and you can subscribe via RSS, iTunes, and Stitcher.
Perfect. Yeah, it's a great, fun podcast too. They're a lot of fun.
We don't get it out as much as we want to, but hopefully it'll be coming out a little more rapidly in the future.
That's great. Yeah. Okay, I'm Steph, and you can find me at thedailydigi.com and at capturingmagic.me, where we have just announced that we've released our first iPhone app, which is for Disneyland. We're waiting for approval still on Disney World. Hopefully by the time this comes out, we will have heard back from Apple on that. And so it is an app that will help you capture your magic memories when you're at the parks. So you'll want to check it out in the App Store. If you go to capturingmagic.me, there is an iPhone there that you can click on to find out more information about it and get the link to the iTunes store.
Ooh, I can't wait.
Yeah. So thank you, AJ, again for being here. I really appreciate it. And
thank you so much. I'm always grateful for the opportunity to go onto these podcasts. They're so much fun. You guys are great.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Brittney, too.
Sure.
And we will be back next week, where we will be capturing magic.